Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of Wrestling with the Mind. This is episode number 19. I'm your host, Matt Sigmund, health coach by day, pro wrestler by night. It's been a couple of weeks since our last episode. Life has just been really busy, but we're diving back in today, and I'm excited to bring you a chat with a good friend of mine, Jeremiah Plunkett, who is best known for his current wrestling work on the NWA television. But he has a wonderful story to share, and I'm excited to bring that to you today. But before we dive in, as always, I thought it would be good to do some guided meditation just to get us in a good mindset before listening to today's chat. So if that's not your thing, totally okay. You can fast forward a minute or so and hop right into our interview today. But if it is something you would like to participate in, you can start by finding a comfortable seated position. Now this can be either in a chair or on the floor with your legs crossed. Raise your hands gently on your lap or by your sides and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely with air. And then exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of any tension or stress. Repeat this deep breathing for a few more cycles, focusing on the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Now bring your attention to your sense of touch. Focus on the sensation of your body sitting on the chair or the floor. Notice any sensations such as texture of your clothing or the feeling of the air on your skin. Next, shift your attention to your sense of hearing. Listen carefully to the sounds around you, whether it's the sound of traffic outside or the hum of an air conditioner or a faint ticking of a clock. Now let's bring your attention to your sense of smell. Take a deep breath in through your nose and notice any scents that you can detect, whether it's the smell of fresh flowers or cooking food or the scent of your surrounding. Next, focus on your sense of taste. Take a moment to notice any taste in your mouth, whether it's a lingering taste of food or a recent drink. Finally, bring your attention to your sense of sight. Even with your eyes closed, you may see patterns of light or color. Simply observe these visual sensations without trying to interpret or analyze them. As you focus on your senses, allow yourself to become fully present in the moment. Let go of any thoughts or distractions and simply be aware of the sensations you are experiencing. When you are ready, slowly bring your awareness back to your physical body and wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a deep breath. When you're ready, open your eyes, feeling refreshed and relaxed and more present in the moment. Now let's dive into our chat with Jeremiah Plunkett. Hey, my friend, how are you today?
Oh man, I'm doing well. How are you?
I can't complain. It's a pretty good week so far. Smooth sailing, much better than previous weeks. Things are going well, so can't complain. All good. All good.
Beyond the weather, it's everything's good.
Yeah, a lot of rain this week. So outside of the rain, all is going well. Thank you for carving out some of time here to hop on and chat about mental health and your journey and a little bit of everything.
I mean, I appreciate you having me. I listen to the podcast a lot. It's a big mowing podcast for me. I listen to a lot of mowing and just binge them. So
Yeah, this has turned into something that's been really cool in the wrestling business and beyond, just for some of the inspirational stories and people we've got to connect with and hear from, talking about things you normally wouldn't hear from some of these guys. So really cool to have you on as well in the mix here at Wrestling with the Mind. For those who don't know you, those who are probably outside of the business, who are just listening for the mental health aspect of it, give us a little introduction to Jeremiah Plunkett.
let's see. I don't know. I'm from Middle Tennessee, born and raised. Been in the professional wrestling industry for 18 years now. God, I feel old.
It's because we
Um,
are old.
I'm coming to terms with that now. And yeah, I mean, I'm married, uh, live out in the country, away from people, and have a whole bunch of cats. I guess that's kind of me.
Yeah, and wrestling wise, people now find you on NWA programming, Power, and USA and stuff. How are you enjoying that run right now?
It was a run I thought would never come. You know what I mean? Somebody told me if you stick around long enough, you'll eventually get a shot, and I guess they were right.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, that whole crew, everybody's hardworking, everybody works together. That's a really cool environment when we hop in for a cup of coffee there once in a while, to just see everybody working together as a team to produce something really solid product wise. And you are a really hard worker and do a lot of effort in putting that to where it is today. So awesome.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we've known each other since 2008,
Is
nine,
it 7 or 8? Yeah, I think.
somewhere along that, a long time, many moons ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you were saying you've been in this wrestling business for a long time, just about as long as I have, if not maybe even a hair longer. How has wrestling and how crazy this business can be, how has it impacted your mental health?
I mean, it's made me the happiest, but it's also like made me the most depressed.
Mm,
Um, I think especially, I don't want to say early on because early on everything's great, right? You're just in a ring and that's great and that's enough. But there's a point where, and I think most people get this, where you think you're ready and you don't understand why opportunities aren't coming,
mm,
and it just gets frustrating. Um, and you can get bitter from it, and like it's how you react to that. And I spent, I know, a few years really really bitter, and hating the people who are newer and getting better opportunities and stuff like that. And actually, Jason Kincaid, former guest on the podcast, sat me down one night and straightened me out. And I tried to do better since then. But and I think I stopped letting wrestling control me at some point,
mm.
right?
Yeah,
Because you can't
and
enjoy it when it does that, when you put everything.
wrestling is this roller coaster of emotions, and there are so many highs, and then it jumps or it falls straight down into a low, because that carrot is always dangling in front of you in terms of opportunities and what you might be able to accomplish. And oftentimes we think we've almost reached that or what we think we want, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it just kind of gets pulled out from under us. But you were talking about Kincaid. He's somebody who has a wonderful mindset about not only wrestling, he's one of the most creative people I know, but just life
Yeah,
in general, and kind of getting you grounded when things are a little bit challenging, or maybe your mindset is not where it needs to be, or maybe you're kind of thinking, you're telling yourself some lies, that kind of thing. Jason's always good about helping me, kind of pull myself back together and getting grounded and refocused on what I need to aim for.
yeah. He was real big about. He had heard me running my mouth about some people, and he was like, "Don't run your mouth about them. Help them.
Mm,
You're not doing any good for the business, for the industry itself, by tearing somebody down. Help them. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what, if you're in here longer, that's what you're supposed to do with somebody who's a rookie or younger or green or however you want to say it. You're supposed to help them, and that's the betterment of the business. But the thing was, not everybody did that to us when we broke in. Now there were
no,
people who did. Tracy,
right.
Doc, Ricky, you know what I mean? They all did, but it's funny. A lot of people on a lower level than them did.
Right. And a lot of the locker rooms, like you're saying, back when we first started, and wrestling's always been cutthroat, right? Everybody wants the spot, or everybody wants to be as big as they can be on the events that they are on. And it can be intimidating for a lot of people. And you only have so many spots available in wrestling. So guys are always trying to fight their hardest. And it used to be a lot dirtier than it was. People didn't want anybody coming into the locker room taking their spot or taking any chance of a bigger opportunity. And There were really good guys around, like Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, Smothers, Bobby Eaton, Dr. Tom, guys that would really care about wrestling in general as a whole and want to see some of the younger guys learn and succeed. But then you would get around those locker rooms with those people that were bitter and just had a terrible outlook on life, and they would take out their frustrations on the younger guys and try to tear you down. And it can be a very hard place to come out of when you get in that mindset of bitterness and just want to tear others down. But you look at those guys like we were talking about, Bobby and them, and they would see somebody struggling, see somebody not doing as well as they could potentially do. And while half the locker room is making fun of them, half the locker room is telling them they're never going to succeed or achieve anything, these guys would pull you to a corner, give you some advice, some positive reinforcement, encourage them to improve their game, but in a much better way than just tearing guys down. And I think that is a mindset and an approach that has expanded in a lot of locker rooms. I think we've seen a positive shift over the past several years, and I'm hoping that continues. And it's up to guys like me and you to help do that now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This isn't the same wrestling industry from 10 years ago.
Mm.
I mean, it's not, and I don't know if I mean, I'm sure those guys are still out there, but like, I don't know if a lot of them have aged out or just been, hey, we don't want that negativity around here, so you're not on this show anymore. But I've noticed a lot of locker rooms are a lot more
And
welcoming, I
guys,
guess.
even in our circle, when there was points where me, I was traveling a lot with Sean Schultz, guys like up in Canada, Danny Duggan, Danny Warren, where we were really solid on the cards. And after a while, like you were saying, that it gets to you that those opportunities aren't coming. And so you get that big fish, small pond mentality. You
Hmm.
start thinking you're better than others, and you do treat people differently, or at least the opportunity is there for you to treat people differently. And we did for a while. And
Oh yeah,
it got us a lot of heat, a lot of people angry at us. I didn't think about how I was acting in locker rooms were impacting other people on a real personal level, outside of the locker room. Hurt a lot of people's feelings, and over time, it took time, but eventually it did hit me that hey, you really got to start kind of treating people better, and especially when you look at long term here in the wrestling business, and this isn't the only reason to treat people better, but you're going to see these people again somewhere down the
yeah.
line. And you want to have that good relationship with everybody you run into, because you never know who you're going to need help from, or what opportunities might come up down the line. And over the years, my mind and my heart has changed a lot to everybody I interact with. And so now I try to make new friends every day. I try to inspire others in the locker room. I try to help out with guys who are learning and up and coming, help to be an outlet for them to gain ground and truly learn from. And that took time to shift to that. And the other guys, like I was telling you too, Sean Schultz and Danny and everybody, I've watched them turn into just wonderful, respected men now compared to what
Yeah.
we all used to be. I mean, I guess a lot of it is older and wiser, but we have made a positive shift, and I just hope it keeps kind of going in a upward
you,
direction.
you had mentioned Sean. I mean, there was a time I remember in the Nashville locker rooms where people would ask me, like, how are you friends with him? And
Hmm.
I'm like, he's always nice to me.
Yeah,
But, Sean would tear some people down. And, I probably got a little bit of it from him. But yeah, like
I'm sure. Yeah, we all have. Yeah.
we've all matured. We've all aged, right? And
Hmm.
we've all experienced more real life. I mean, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it is as much of a life as wrestling is. And for a time, it's always been a giant chunk of our lives. There's still a real life out there that I think for a while we all try not to live in.
Hmm. And let's shift over to that too, in terms of just mental health in or outside of wrestling, just for overall life for you. What does good mental health look like for you?
I don't know because I hear some of the guys on here and they talk about. I don't want to say they act like they've got it. They not act, but they talk about like they have it licked, and I don't think I'm there
Hmm.
yet. Like I'm, but I'm trying. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I think that's something that. So I'm in therapy, and that's one of the things I do for my mental health. And my therapist has been telling me a lot of like it's just day by day. You get through one day, you succeed at that day, then it's on to the next.
Right.
One day at a time. And I don't know. I think that's where I am right now. I've got some issues to work through, but more good days than bad. You can't complain about that.
Right. And I think in terms of just taking it day by day, we are all we can all improve every single day. There's opportunity to learn and grow and improve how our self care, how our mental health is. And it's awesome to hear that you're taking that opportunity to do therapy and learn more about yourself and find ways to overcome some of the challenges that you are facing.
Yeah, I I hated therapy before I tried it, but I lost my dad last year, and I
Okay.
was having a real hard time processing that. And we had a weird relationship. You
Hmm.
know, what I mean, some there's years we didn't speak, and then there's years we were close to this together, and I took care of him in his final days, and so it's just a really hard thing for me to process. So I got into therapy because I just was having trouble grieving and stuff like that. And I feel like it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because while it's helped with the grieving of that, it's also helped me understand why I feel other things,
Okay.
and and what the relationship with my dad led to me feeling this in my life, and it's
Right.
probably led to some, I don't want to say abandonment,
Hmm.
but it's something that was missing, right? And I actually had somebody tell me a long time ago that anyone who gets into wrestling specifically missed something, and they're chasing that in wrestling.
Right.
And I don't know if that's true or not for every person. I'm sure it's not a you can't just paint all with one big stroke, but I don't know. I think it makes sense in my case at least.
You
You know what
know,
I mean?
that is something, well, there's a lot to unpack here from the past couple minutes of what all you said, but in terms of just wrestlers, people who get into the wrestling business, guys and girls alike, that is something that every guest on this podcast so far has said. So I think you're onto something. I think there's a part of us that is broken when we try to get in this business for whatever reason it may be. For some, it's going to be fame. For some of it's going to be the world travel to get out of the place you're currently at, that environment you're in. For others, it's going to be money or attention or just that high we get from going to the
Mhm.
ring when all of the focus of an entire building is on you. There's no drug like it in the entire world. So many reasons. And, I think that you are definitely onto something when you say that. Now, you mentioned the stigma too of therapy before you started it. You said you hated it. And that's a common view that we also hear. We think a lot of us that we're tough men. We don't need to talk to somebody. We've got this. And a lot of it's how we were brought up and people we saw and their opinions kind of filtered down through us on therapy and things like that. Did that stigma change instantly when you started therapy, or did it take time to chip away at? When did that change in your mind in terms of how you viewed it?
So I had previously done therapy, gosh, almost a decade ago,
Hmm.
and I think I just had a bad therapist.
Okay.
Like not bad per se, but
Right.
like not good for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I had actually tried therapy since then, but like one of those text based, and that didn't work.
Right.
Um, but I don't know the therapist I've got. She's awesome. We just connect, and she knows how to. I'll go into those sessions with nothing to talk about because I've had a good week or something like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't really know what to talk about. And we'll just get in a conversation. All of a sudden, she'll help me unpack something
Okay.
that I had no plans on even talking about. And I don't know. She's just real good. She's real good at reading me. And
Hmm.
I mean, I think that's overlooked a lot of times is that relationship with your therapist.
Right. And I like how you also brought up the value of finding the one that fits for you because in a lot of services I see these days that do the either the text based or the app video interview based in a lot of the programs these days. If you don't like your therapist, if you're not clicking well, hey, let them know, switch to the next. I think that just because you don't click with somebody, like you were saying, doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad therapist. They're just not fit for you in your point in
Hmm.
life or your environment, that kind of thing. So I think, really honing in and finding out what's going to work, who's going to click with you the best is a good way of approaching it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it was we're weird, right? It was kind of like I tried it and it didn't work for me, so therapy is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to I never shopped around and tried someone else in the past. And if I had, maybe I'd be in a I don't want to say a better place. I feel like I'm in a good place, but maybe I would have found out some stuff earlier on. You know what I mean?
You
And I think
meant,
I went the medication route, I guess is the word I was looking for. I went the medication route right after therapy, and I was like, oh, this will fix everything.
mm-hmm.
Big pharma, but it's not. I mean, it works, but I'm just saying it doesn't fix the root cause. It fixes the symptom.
Do you still balance things out with the therapy and medication, or just the therapy, or what's working for you right now?
I'm still on some medication. I don't know if much longer I'm going to continue it. Like I said, after Dad passed, things got really, really,
Mm-hmm.
really rough, and I needed something to help at that time.
Right.
But I've lowered my dosage, and we'll see from there.
Okay.
Kind of playing it by ear.
So, you mentioned therapy being a source of self care for you and a little bit of the medication, and now you're pulling back off it a little bit. But what are some other ways that you implement self care throughout your day and into your routine?
Well, you'll be proud of this, but I've never been a workout guy.
Mm.
Um, Now, if I miss a workout, my day's not good.
Isn't it
You
funny
know
how
what I
that
mean?
works?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm talking. I mean, for years, like I'd work out here and there. I'm not saying I
Right.
didn't work out, but I didn't work out hard
Yeah.
or regularly or seriously. Besides cardio, that'd be just about all I ever did regularly. And I don't know, man. Like, I started doing it for rest.
Hmm.
I will say, um, and then it made me feel better. And then I saw my health getting better and wrestling getting better. And I'm in better shape for my family because that's the thing. I have a family now. It's not just me. You know what I mean? I got
Right. Yeah.
a wife to be here for. I got 10 cats to be here for.
It's a lot of cats,
uh,
Plunkett.
well, 4 hours after Dad passed, six were his,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I promised him I'd take care of them. So I have 10
So
cats.
you've got the farm now, the cat
Yeah,
farm.
yeah, yeah. I do legitimately.
You
Yeah.
need to open up one of those coffee shops. Like over when we go to Japan, Elliot likes to visit some of these coffee shops where you just sit and get to drink coffee while like the room is filled with cats. And apparently, like it's a pretty cool deal for people over there. I'm allergic, so I could never go near this coffee shop, but he seems to find a lot of value in it.
I've seen some of those. I think there's one in Asheville, North Carolina, and
Okay.
me and the wife were going to go when we went on our honeymoon, and we overbooked ourselves, so we didn't make it to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, that's something like I never thought I'd be a cat person,
Mm.
and then I had a surgery and a breakup and stuff like that, and the girlfriend left, but left the cats that she brought,
And good of you to
and
keep them on after such a terrible experience, right?
well, oh, I wasn't going to. And then as I'm home, like I was looking for them home, and then I had to have surgery, so I'm just stuck at home and not able to go anywhere. And the cats were like comforting, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'd be depressed on the couch, and they'd rub up to me and stuff like that. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, they became kind of something to help with my depression because I was depressed, man. I wasn't wrestling, and wrestling's always been my outlet. You know what I mean? And I didn't have that, and I had nothing. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't drive because my arm was in a sling, and like I legit couldn't go anywhere. And
Yeah, and
it
a
was
lot
it
of
was cats
people
and pizza.
a lot of people don't understand too. I was talking about just, the attention you get from being in the ring, but also that moment, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long your match is, when you go to that ring and that bell rings, everything else in life is gone for the moment. You get to check out and you are in the zone, and it's an escape of everything. and it can be just such a relief to be in the ring. Everything's good until the bell rings again and you step back into real life, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even more than that, like, so I like being behind the wheel
Hmm.
and just listening to my own music and in my own head. So
Right.
like I enjoy the drive. Oh, my own music, not when you're playing Santa Claus is Coming to Town on TV on a road trip, but
Hey, I think we played it for like 5 hours straight just to drive you guys nuts, and that was a fun experience for me.
you and maybe one other person in that car are the only ones. uh, but no, so like I enjoy that to a degree. Like after a certain number of hours, I want to get out of that car.
Hmm.
But like I enjoy being behind the wheel and in my own thoughts. I enjoy being in the locker room, especially when it's a locker room full of guys I like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when we go to Knoxville and it's on those, those Joe Kazana shows with you and all the boys. Those are so much fun, and we're just laughing and joking. And that's actually one of the points where it's like, oh, we got to go wrestle. Hold on, let me get this match out of the way. I'll finish this
Right.
conversation in a minute. You know what I mean? Like
Timeout. Yeah.
sometimes the wrestling, I don't want to say it comes secondary because we always go out there and work hard, but like sometimes it's not the most fun.
Right. And you
You
were
know
talking
what
about
I
the
mean?
road, the travel piece of it. I travel a lot with Elliot. You know, we travel the world together, and that is a wonderful experience too. But sometimes in the car when it's just me on these long drives, I can appreciate that as well. And just having that thinking time, that moment for me with music and just listening to books or prayer or whatever it may look like. That's some good quality time for just myself too.
Yeah, and I'm a guy who has to like process things, right?
Hmm.
I'm not somebody who can. There's some people you ask something to and they'll give you an answer right then, and I'm not that guy. I
Right.
have to think about it, process it,
Hmm.
and mull it over, and so that's a lot of my time too. Just stuff throughout the week that's like weighed on me. If I got a couple hour drive, I can really think about it and process it, and usually that's when I'll come up with solutions to things. Is when I'm on the road to wrestling. I don't know, man. It's a piece that you're in control of everything, and that might be a thing in wrestling too. If you're really good, you control the crowd. When you can't control anything else in your life, everything's going crazy, but you can go out there and you can get the crowd to cheer and boo when you want.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? There's a thing of control there too when you have
It's
nothing
it
else.
is it's a power. We tell these stories to the crowd, and we get to take them on this roller coaster of emotion, and we get to pick when they're going to have a high or when they're going to dip down into a low, and that whole flow is up to us in terms of telling the story and just controlling the pace of how we want to approach things. And it's a sense of control and power that is very cool to have for the very little time we get to experience it.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody controls your own destiny. Like there's things you can control in your life, but nobody controls everything. Life is what life is. Is it 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it?
Hmm.
Is that the right numbers? But I mean, so that 10%, like you can't do anything about, but that 10% is all you'll think about.
Right.
You know what I mean? 90% of your day you control, but that 10%, something goes wrong in that 10%, and that's all you think about for the rest of the 90%. Or at least me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people get over things. Man, I'm so jealous of them
Mm.
because I marinate on it, and I'm
Let it
trying to
let it
get better at it.
simmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people who are listening to this are going through challenging times. We get messages all the time for people who have lost someone or going through a divorce or maybe even a sickness. The people who are struggling physically, mentally, what advice would you give to them in terms of helping overcome?
Man, that's a big ask. I don't know. I think that 10%, 90% rule would kind of go into that, right? Because what they're going through is that 10%.
Hmm.
Divorce, somebody passed, like you said, a sickness of some sort, and that's the 10% they can't control. It's how you react to it, and it's not always going to be good. I'm not going to. There's nobody, no matter how positive, that always reacts to everything positively. Forgive yourself. That's a big thing. Is forgive yourself because I know if anyone's like me, I'm bad about feeling guilty about everything.
Hmm.
Anything I've done, I still I brought up that thing with Kincaid. I still feel bad about doing that. You know what I mean? Like I still feel guilty about it today, and I keep
Right.
trying to forgive myself. And you'll never get over anything until you forgive yourself. So I think the react to things the best way you can, and forgive yourself when you don't.
Mm, powerful.
I think this would be, yeah, I think that would be it.
That is a wonderful way of looking at things, at least in my opinion. And some of these people too, maybe they're not going through anything real big event wise. Maybe they're just struggling mentally for no true reason that they can identify.
Mm.
And so a lot of that can apply to them too.
Those are
Well,
the hardest days for me.
mm,
You know what I mean? When you're like, you're in a, you're in a depression and you just don't know why. And those are always so puzzling to me. There's been days where I'm just like, I have nothing to be upset about. Nothing bad happened to me. I just woke up in a funk. And I think that's the 10% of, there is a chemical imbalance, right? Like
right.
at some point, there's a chemical imbalance, and that's the chemical imbalance at that point. It's not this bad thing happened, so I'm upset about it, and the chemical imbalance is making it worse. It's just that chemical imbalance at that point.
Well, before we wrap up, I would like to have you hype something up. Tell us something positive going on right now that we can catch you on or interact with you with.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you something positive that no one can do anything about, and then I'll do the other plugs. But
Perfect.
we in a month we're moving into a brand new house, and that's something
Hey,
very
there you go.
exciting. Very exciting. It's
With
going to
the
be out
cats,
there.
right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, six of them outside, four of them in. But yes, um, the outside cats have a cat shed that is better than most houses, though. So we put a lot of work into that. But as far as exciting things, you can catch me on NWA Power, and I'm working with the NWA a lot, doing a lot of events for them. Those are always so fun. Like you said, the locker room's great there. I never have a bad time there. And yeah, I mean, if you need to get in touch with me, social media, I'm at Plunkitis on everything social media. You can thank old Danny Deals or Tony Lucasio for that. He called me that once, and I thought it'd be
It's stuck,
funny, and
right?
now I'm
Yeah.
stuck with it. Yeah.
He calls
Uh,
me sigtosis.
uh, and then there's Sigtosis or Siggy and the Sea Monster for you and
Yeah,
Elliot.
yeah. For when I would have Elliot with me in tow. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I thank you for carving out some time and just chatting about wrestling and the mental health side of it all, and just kind of real life and how you deal with it. It's much appreciated, and I think a lot of people will find value from what you've brought to the table today.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you so much. I love this
Hey,
podcast, so you keep doing it.
absolutely. I'm gonna till I can no longer. I'm gonna keep going.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate you, bud.
I want to thank Jeremiah for hopping into a chat with me today, sharing a little bit of his story and his mental health journey. Much appreciated as always. For those of you listening, I hope you go to WrestlingMind.com, find your favorite podcast subscriber service. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, share. That's how we get the word out and help more people. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Now get out and make something awesome out of today.